YouTube, man? It's your boy EGF Hoops here, back with another video. As you can see by the title, we're talking about Trae Young today. But before we even talk about Trae Young, I need you to hit that subscribe button, trying to get to 100 subscribers. So it'd be great if you did that. Comment down below your take on the Trae Young situation. Don't forget to Don't forget to like the video. I'm pretty tired. It's like 7 a.m. If you don't know, the big name in the news for the last week is really Trae Young. Whether it's from trade rumors, whether it's from his reaction to the trade rumors, whether it's being voted as the most overrated player, whether it's been the playoffs, and whether it's been all the hate he has received, the questionable leadership, people still on the fact that he's gotten 2 coaches fired. Trae Young has been in the news, basically. And we're going to cover all of it and give our opinions, and hopefully y'all can give y'all's in the comment section below, and hopefully mine makes sense. First thing I'm going to go over is the playoff hate, because that's pretty much what's prevalent at this moment. If you don't know, Trae Young is shooting under 40%. His averages in the playoffs is under 40% from the field, under 29% from 3, shooting like 86% from the free throw line. Flat out horrible, but that's not all. In the last 8 series, NBA Central posted on Twitter, in the last 8 playoff games, this man has now shot over 33% from 3 in the last 8 playoff games. He's only shot over 20% from 3 twice in the last 8 playoff games. If you don't know, that's, I think, 2 games in this series and... who did they play last year? Oh, no, that's 2 games in this series. That's 4 games in the Miami series. And the last 2 games in the Bucks series. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals. And I kind of think that's where all this hate is coming from. I think after the whole Trae Young becoming the king of New York thing and the whole Eastern Conference Finals run, I think a lot of people got an expectation for Trae Young that will never, and I mean ever, be able to be met on a consistent basis from a point guard that is 6'1" on a very good, that's what he listed at, but I really think the man is like 5'11", but 6'1" on a good day. I do think some of it is warranted, though. There was a lot of MVP conversation, a lot of MVP talks towards Trae Young, and Trae Young obviously has a lot of glaring issues in his game. He's only 24 years old, though, so hopefully this doesn't tear him down or anything like that, but he can build on top of it and get better. We did see Trae Young take a lot of steps back this year as far as production goes, with points per game, all his efficiencies across the board, and he still is the number 6 highest in usage rate. A big problem with this is the fact that they had another all-star in DeJounte Murray, and I don't want to say that's a problem. I think it should be a good thing for Trae Young, but I think Trae Young has failed to utilize the fact that he can be an off-ball presence. Like the man he's normally compared to, Steph Curry, manages to be an amazing threat off the ball. Trae Young has just simply not been able to do so, but he is 24 still, and he can still learn to utilize it if this pairing between him and DeJounte Murray lasts long enough to do so. Trae Young does not take that many catch and shoot shots from DeJounte, and he doesn't move that much off the ball, just being stationary in a spot while DeJounte goes to work. I think he'd be utilized a lot better than that. There is obviously a gelling period for playing with another all-star talent for the first time in your career, really in your life, playing with someone that's comparable to you, another player that can be an all-star just like you. Matter of fact, they both made the all-star team, if I'm not mistaken, last season. But with that being said, I don't think that's an excuse for what's going on. I made a tweet during the playoffs. If you don't follow me on Twitter, at EGFRon. This is DeJounte Murray's team, because in these playoff games, sometimes it just looks like DeJounte Murray is taking over in this series specifically, while Trae Young's little 18 points and 8 assists, or 15 points and 7 assists, just doesn't really seem that impactful. But to put this on a good note, there's only 2 players to average 25 points per game and 9 assists in their careers, and that is Trae Young and Oscar Robertson. Just put some shed some light on Trae Young. I mean, I don't think all this hate is warranted. I don't think Trae Young is actually the most overrated person in the league. I just think that a lot of players don't really like the whole foul baiting that goes on, that doesn't get that as much attention as it used to. They tried to change the rules, but Trae Young is still doing it because, you know, when you're 6 foot and everyone else around you is like 4+ inches taller than you, it's kind of hard for them not to bump you harder than maybe they should, or maybe rough you up some when you weigh less than probably 190 pounds. But with that besides the point, Trae Young has gotten a lot of hate that I don't think all is necessarily warranted. A part of me really feels like people have an expectation from him that shouldn't really be held. Like, there's not too many people under 6 foot or at 6 foot that can lead a team at all. I remember that the time that happened that comes to mind is the whole Isaiah Thomas with the Celtics thing. But outside of that, there is not another time outside of Allen Iverson in which his efficiency was bad, went through a weak East, where somebody that was under 6'1" or at 6 foot led a team anywhere, and it was seen as not fraudulent in some capacity. Another thing I'd like to touch on a little bit with the whole Trae Young situation is while we're at this, I'm gonna talk about it all. Don't think that I'm just trying to skip through things. We're gonna get down to the nitty gritty. Is his roster construction? Because quite frankly, his roster construction is kind of mid. It's not like they, at least before this year, they had another main ball handler that could do things. But the Hawks have been fairly cheap in getting Trae Young the help that he needs. I remember in the 2021 season, Game 7 against the Philadelphia 76ers, where Trae Young had another stinker. We saw Kevin Huerter pull out a great game, score 30+, in which they traded him literally the year after to save money. Now, they did bring in DeJounte Murray, but they didn't want to go over the luxury tax, I believe, to give Kevin Huerter the extension that he may or may not deserve. And it seemed to benefit Sacramento greatly by giving them what the Hawks simply wouldn't. I think it's just mid-contract. I think it's just mid roster construction as a whole. You basically got two of the same players in Clint Capella and Onyeka Okongwu. You don't really have a five that can stretch the floor. You put John Collins there, but he's another player that's been constantly in trade talks. I think at one point there was beef between him and Trae Young. And another player that kind of is inconsistent, is kind of falling off of a cliff. I'm looking at it says right here. He's averaging 13 points per game. Besides his rookie year, that is the lowest points per game he's averaged. The man shot less than 30% from three for the first time in his career. And he's shooting only 50% from the field, which is also the lowest in his career. Just a bad season all around from a lot of the players that play with him. DeJounte Murray had a good year for his first, a great year, I like to say, for his first year to be an Atlanta Hawk. But besides that, it's not like he's a knockdown shooter like Kevin Huerter is. I don't really think anybody on this team was a knockdown shooter like Kevin Huerter was, except for maybe Saddiq Bey, who I don't think, in my personal opinion, with the amazing wings that is in the Eastern Conference that you're going to have to go through, whether we're talking about the Celtics, where it's Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Giannis, Chris Middleton, even Tobias Maxey, who isn't a wing, he's still a guard, but combo guard, that didn't really make sense. But you get the point. Giannis Antetokounmpo. I named him that. You get the point. Especially in Eastern Conference like that, you need a lockdown wing. And as bad as it hurts me, because I am a Hawks fan myself, but I'm a big Giannis fan. I'm more of a Giannis fan than a Hawks fan. Don't get it twisted. DeAndre Hunter, with all the injuries they sustained, is not the elite defender that he once was. Still a good defender, but not enough, especially when he's only shooting 35% from three. I don't think anyone on this team is shooting over 40%. And not only that, Trae Young is young. He's young. He's 24 years old. But that doesn't mean that he should be that everyone around him should be younger than him, or just outside of Bogdan Bogdanovic. I don't think that means that he should be like the veteran on the team. Not saying that this team is like he's the oldest on the team at all, but like no one else to like get in his face and tell him that he needs to do this or he needs to do that. And a lot of this is just bad. Like Clint Capella and Double O, both great centers. You don't need both of them. You need a backup option that can stretch the floor. A great example is Naz Reid for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think he'd be great on this roster with Trae. Not saying that they will get him. Just saying, just an example of just being able to throw out some dynamic lineups to counter things. Like stretch the floor a little bit for your point guards like Trae Young and DeJounte Murray to be able to possibly drive to the paint more often and actually try and finish rather than look for a lob or a foul. I think a lot of the other pieces like John Collins, I think it's time for a change. I think you keep DeAndre Hunter, whether you believe it or not, but I think you get another defensive wing that can knock down threes at a higher clip, like maybe OG Anunoby, if that's possible. Aaron Holiday, negative. Bogdan Bogdanovic, great pickup. But outside of him, Trae Young, and DeJounte Murray, there is no other bucket getters on this team. Saddiq Bey, great three-point threat, amazing three-point threat. But don't get me wrong, his defense is flat out terrible. At one point, was rated the worst defender in the league. AJ Griffin, I wish he got more minutes, but the truth of the matter is that he's young. You have people coming after Trae. The point of this is that you have people coming after Trae Young when he has a roster that is poorly constructed for someone that is listed to weigh 164 pounds. By no means do I think someone that weighs under 170 pounds should ever be the first option on the team that's expected to compete for a championship or any deep playoff success. Is it possible? Yes, don't get me wrong, but you got to have a damn sure team prepared to play. You have to have a damn good constructed team in order to get some type of success out of it. I'd like to address the trade rumors that's going on. If Atlanta trades Trae Young, I think it'd be a huge mistake, but at the same time, I can kind of see the bright side on it. Trae Young's 24. You have DeJounte Murray on a one-year deal, and players like AJ Griffin seems to have some type of upside as a possible good starter / maybe perennial all-star in a year where everyone gets injured and you need somebody. Double O seems to be straight like the future Clint Capella of the league whenever Clint Capella is gone. And I think it'd just be best if you just kept Trae Young rather than trying to go through the whole cycle of rebuilding roles. This probably would be a failure, but at the same time, Trae Young's 24 years old. I don't really know what type of rebuild you can get done in 2 years. Not everybody's the Oklahoma City Thunder. They can just pull a great roster out of their ass. But if it was me, I'd keep Trae Young, and I'd probably try and free up some cap space to bring a star to Atlanta with Trae Young, or try and trade some assets for it. It's not like you don't have double O. I mean, DeJounte Murray, if you can get him to an extension, that's a good trade asset. Well, as we saw, John Collins isn't worth much. And Clint Capella's a serviceable big, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't trade Bogdan Bogdanovic unless it is in a deal to get a star. And yeah, the point is I don't think that this roster is really made to help Trae Young at all. And the trade rumors, I think, is stupid. There's a whole ass argument on Twitter. We got fucking beat writers coming after more beat writers on the trade rumors from Trae Young. We got Trae Young literally saying that it could be true, it could be not true. Who knows about the trade rumors? I think it's all dumb, to be honest. I don't think that he'll get traded, but if he does, I think it'd be a huge mistake by Atlanta, especially considering DeJounte Murray has 1 year left on his deal, especially considering that you wouldn't even be able to rebuild for another year because you traded your 2026 draft pick, would be the year after DeJounte possibly leaves, to the Spurs. So I think it'd be a dumb move. I don't think they're going to trade Trae Young anytime soon. Maybe this is a conversation to have after next year, but it's a little bit too young now. There was a little talk on the coaches he got fired and how he didn't get along with Floyd Pierce and Nate McMillan. I don't think that was really much to talk about here. I think that it's pretty known that with the new GM that the Hawks have and also the new coach in Quinn Snyder, I loved Quinn Snyder for the Jazz. Even though they fell up short a lot, I thought he was a pretty good coach. I think we're pretty much against the wall of the Trae Young era in Atlanta is at stake, but do I think that it'll be going anywhere this year or even this offseason? No, I don't. I just think it'll be a lot of talk. I don't think that all of this is Trae Young's fault. And I honestly think a lot of people should lay off considering the fact that he's 24. I mean, all the hate towards Luka, all the hate towards Trae Young, just look at their rosters and you tell me what you think they would do. I think a lot of people got spoiled with the young players like Jason Tatum or like even Trae Young 2 or 3 years ago having deep-ass playoff runs year after year after year and thinking that's the expectation. I don't think that's ever the expectation. We got players like Anthony Edwards that's struggling against the 8th seed. Same kind of ordeal that Trae Young went against last year, and I don't think Miami was 1 seed. Just the same ordeal that Trae Young had to go through last year, and the same ordeal that he's going through this year as the 7th seed going against the 2 seed. This is pretty normal stuff with players under 25 being the best player on a team that's not greatly constructed. I mean, we've seen it to even a greater scale with LeBron James, or even a greater scale with players like Giannis at one point. Just poorly constructed teams around them, and eventually the team either gets better or the player leaves. And I kind of think that's kind of what this is. I don't think Trae Young's in a situation to really utilize what he has. I think Trae Young is probably the second best player on the championship team, to be honest with you. And there's really nothing wrong with that considering he's 6'1" listed right here and 164 pounds. That cannot be the best player on the championship team. Nothing wrong with that, though. And that's pretty much it with this video. I think the Trae Young hate needs to just chill out a little bit. He is 24. He is underperforming. I think some of it is pretty I think some of it is pretty justifiable, don't get me wrong. But the man's 24 and his team is pretty trash. He's played trash too, don't get me wrong. With that being said, that's it with this video, man. I'd appreciate it if you liked the video. Comment down below your take on it. And I think that's where I'm going to end it. I'm out. Peace.